Karibu Nyumbani, beloveds. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving forward on your relocation journey. We're so grateful to be part of your journey. Thank you so much for subscribing to this channel. If you want a more one-on-one relationship, definitely consider joining our Patreon. So I've been talking a lot about the main question I've been asking is what can we do? What work can we engage in if we were to return to the motherland? And for me, I really push becoming more entrepreneurial. So either supplying something or providing a service, providing a talent, providing a skill, rather than trying to work for anyone, because then you're competing with, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of, jobless Africans, jobless locals. So the best is, and even for your own independence, because the idea is not to move into Africa and continue living like you're in Babylon, but it's essentially is to become more self-sustaining at such a time as this. And that looks like, you can move out of the Babylon cities, etc., start producing your own food, etc. But if you're planning to move back to Africa, what could you do? What are the main businesses? The biggest business right now is education. Education has become a big thing. Everyone wants to get their child educated and anything related to education. So you starting up a small school. Many people have come and set up, special, what do they call, like Montessori schools, etc., a kindergarten, nursery, play school. And in places like maybe East Africa, I'm not sure about West Africa, there's not a lot of like after school activities that really teach children different things. And the way they have in the West, like summer camps and stuff like that, we don't really have such a big presence of them here, where we teach our children how to cook, how to fend for themselves, how to plant food, etc. That would be an amazing kind of sideline. But anything to do with education will definitely make you money. It would definitely be something that would be of interest to any community that you went in, because there's such a hunger for knowledge, and education has really been placed way up there. So definitely anything you can do with education, look into that. And providing a skill, and it doesn't have to be. And so I'm, for that, education doesn't have to just be for the little ones, but it can also be for adults, because there's also a wave of re-education. And Africans are always wanting to gain extra skills, etc. So if you have a skill that you have developed, you could offer that as a skill either to your industry. So if you're a nurse who has had X and X amount of training, you could offer that to the local nurses association, as an advanced course, etc. You could partner with local institutes, a local nursing institute, etc. But where your skills can easily be turned into something that something that you can teach others and pass on to others, and that can also make you money. And this is why it's very important from the onset to kind of already make, look for and make contact with people who are in the same industry, or who share the same interests as you, who are doing the same work that you like. If you're interested in organic farming, look into any kind of, Facebook groups, etc. that are into organic farming in the country you're relocating to. Look into see if they have any presence on Instagram, etc. Maybe even look up some farms and contact them. But this is one way. And then you can come in. If you already contact the people who are in your industry, then you can come in and you can offer that skill, and they would most likely pay for it, that skill or that talent. So that's the biggest thing, beloveds. Secondly, if you have been working in the West, whether you've had whatever business line of business you've been in, you have acquired a skill that may not be here yet. You maybe have worked in an industry that hasn't really broken through yet here. So you could also look into setting up a consultancy where you take some of the skills that you developed while you were in the Babylon system, and you use them here to help multiple companies, and collectively that would help you earn enough income to live a pretty decent life. So consultancies are the other things that you can set up quickly, and then that would also help you with your permits, etc., etc. But it's very important to be on the ground and kind of, this is not something you can do from remote control. You kind of need to be on the ground, feel it out. And there's so many friends who have moved back who have told me, when they went to Gambia, they noticed this wasn't there, or these kind of shops weren't there, or they didn't have this kind of service, and or they were missing A, B, C, D, and so they filled that niche. And whatever country you go to, especially if you've been blessed enough to travel around the world, you can always see a niche that you would fill. But it's very important, beloveds, to follow your passion. Do what you love. Don't do what you need to do for money, but do what you love. And what you love will bring you the necessary coin. So, what is it that you're passionate about, and how can you turn it into a skill or a talent? That's really, really important. Another thing that you should look into if you want to do, set up a business, is trading. And I will do a separate show on this. But, Africans, unfortunately, we import a lot of things from, fashion and accessories to computer and IT stuff to vehicles to, you name it. So you might want to look into, importing something, although I would pick a niche product that can be afforded in that area, maybe get a license with that foreign company, to be the only person who supplies it, maybe in the country or in the region. That's something you could easily do if you are still in the country, like in the divided states or the divided kingdom. But maybe look into, what could you trade? What could your friends send you? Or could you set up a partnership with with family that you're leaving in Babylon, or with contacts in Babylon that they could send you? Like something that is still not big, but it's going to be big in the very near future, is organic, like the foods and the herbs. We really don't have that here in West Africa, not in West Africa, sorry, in East Africa. We really don't have that. So anyone who could, set up a business or around that, of kind of providing some of these organic things that we find around the world, that would be black organic, that would be huge. And some of these, I don't want to call them new age shops, but some of these, really, the incense and not incense and candles like that, but how do I describe it, like a lot of the spiritual shops, like the African spiritual shops that we find in Babylon, like in the Brooklyns of this world, and are not really in East Africa. Let me put it like that. Let me not say the whole of Africa, but mainly in East Africa. So that would be something, But stick to what you're passionate about. What do you love doing? Let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, beloveds, and thank you so much for picking us to walk with you on your relocation journey. Karibu Nyumbani, that basically means welcome home in Kiswahili. So what entrepreneurial business can you get into on the motherland? This is something, I'm just throwing out the ideas that I have seen my friends work with and implement. I've had friends who have been successful as organic farmers. I've also had friends who have been really successful importing fashion and kind of doing the discount stores in Babylon and selling them, especially here in East Africa, where we love Western fashion, etc., etc. I've seen people get into IT business, where you set up a small shop, and you import certain niche, maybe Apple products that are hard to get in your country. That was, that's how it used to be before Apple started setting up shops in every country. But, different mobile phone devices and different devices that aren't there. Getting into new technology that may not be in the country, such as solar technology, etc., etc. So the trade is always good to bring things in. But remember, beloveds, that Babylon is going to kind of lock down the global system. So always be aware of that. So do what you can. Trade as Babylon will trade while Babylon is there, but always know that, and something that you're producing or providing yourself is always the best. But that's big business. Fashion is big business. If you can, and there's a lot of fashion that's imported from like, the Chinas and the Turkeys of this world here in East Africa. We even import clothes from West Africa because at least here in Kenya we've lost so much of our, of our own style. But fashion is something that is absolutely a big thing to either get into, and and anything to do with women beloveds, unfortunately, anything to do with, if there's a way that you could source different feminine products that you may not find here, you would definitely find a market, because there is a growing middle class and a growing awareness. So anything to do with like sanitary hygiene, etc., etc. But you would need to come to the country and kind of see for yourself, like, what's not here? What could I provide? And would there be a need for it? Would I need to do it on a small level, or should I try and do it on a bigger level? Should I partner with a local supplier and, or partner with the international company so that I become their local representative, which is something that if you already have a if you already have the passport of that company's nationality, let's say, then it makes it much, much easier for you to look into getting like the license for the local license, etc., where you would be the exclusive distributor of that product in the country you're moving to. So trade is definitely something. Another big thing is food, beloveds. It's sad that Africa used to be the breadbasket of the world, but ever since we moved from subsist where everyone was growing their own food to now these massive corporate farms, food has become a massive issue. And especially as more and more people have moved to the cities. So anything you can do to provide food, whether it's growing your own food and supplying it to the local market, and growing niche products. So don't grow the cabbages and the potatoes of this world, but maybe grow the courgettes, the eggplants, the kale, all organically, etc., etc. There's big business, both locally and internationally. And there's a lot of people who have said that the farmers are the future billionaires. Those that will feed the planet will be the future billionaires. So that's definitely something to look into. Anything to do with food, even processing food. Maybe you could learn a skill or two about how to process certain, potatoes into chips. I'm just giving an example, but how to process the food and package the food, etc., etc. Because food is something massive. Or even how to work with local communities to get their products to bigger markets. But always remember, we're not here to be the new colonizers, but to add value. But anything to do with food. So if you want to relocate to a country and start a small farm where, you specialize in mushrooms, or you specialize in, it will make you good money. Or you specialize in lavender and sage and all the spices, or rosemary, that would be a really, really good avenue to pursue. So anything to do with food, beloveds, would definitely be something that would be, But the most important thing for me is to develop a skill or a talent. And there's so much information on YouTube, something that you can produce for yourself, whether it's making soap, organic soap, whether it's making candles, whether it's processing food, processing seeds, making jams, whatever it is, and honeys, whatever it is, develop a skill or a talent that you can translate into money, but that you are in control of. And know that just because you know how to access information already makes you, you know already gives you an edge over the majority of people, not even just in Africa, but across the world. You making this move already puts you in the smaller percentage of people. And I think another thing is anything around information, beloveds. And I keep saying, I wish there was a way, the way we have so many books online right now. If you could find a way to get those books, organize them into some kind of library, and then set up a community library where you charge people a certain fee to get access to certain books, you print, you photocopy, you offer people internet services. These are the ways to survive. and to have like a little money coming in so that you can support yourself. But if I was to be moving now, the first thing I'd be looking for is land to land away from the city where I could move me and my family, start growing food, start to build my off-grid home. And then I'd look for something that we could produce as a family that the community would need. And while I was doing that, I would look to have a job online, either by telling my relocation story on YouTube, or there's so many ways that people do it. I would look at having, an online job to kind of help me transition into total, self-sustainability. Until next time. Tuko pamoja.